So, friends, good morning, and I again welcome you back in this class of video lecture. And today we take The Solitary Reaper, a very famous and popular poem written by William Wordsworth. Yesterday I tried to give you a brief introduction of two generations of romantic poets, the elderly group and the younger group, and these all romantic poets are called the lake poets because they lived in lake district of England. So friends, let us again quote the first four lines of the poems. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, weeping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. So the poet addresses a passerby to look silently, a young girl, a maiden who has been reaping at her field, and at the same time, while reaping, she has been singing a very melodious song in her own native voice. So the first four lines are very beautifully composed, written, and they are able to give us a glimpse of whole romantic generation. So in this poem, Wordsworth recalls an experience he had during a visit to the Highlands of Scotland. He was thrilled by a song in her native Highland tongue by a woman engaged in reaping alone in an upland field. In the first stanza, it touches upon three major features of the song. What are these three major features which have deeply touched the consciousness of the poet? The first, its unexpectedness in that remote mountainous region. You know, Wordsworth, when he was going with his friend Coleridge and with his sister Dorothy Wordsworth to Scotland through that mountainous region, so the entire region was quite, you know, alone. It was quite rarely disturbed by human presence. So, the unexpectedness in the remote mountainous region, the first feature which touched the poet greatly. And the second is its mournful note, its sorrowful note, right? It appears that the maiden sings a sorrowful song, though the poet is not able to understand the exact meaning of the song since it was in her native voice. And its powerful appeal, this is very important. And this appeal has been summarized by the poet in the last two lines. The music in my heart I bore. The last two lines I got. The music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. Right? So the three features are very important to keep in our mind: its unexpectedness in that remote area, its sorrowful note, its mournful note, and its powerful appeal. Right? Appeal has been important. The poet says that throughout his life he was able to recall that superb experience which he had. And this recalling, in a way, gives birth to poetry, in the opinion of Wordsworth, as a propagator of romantic revival. Right? So that the sheer unexpectedness of the song made it more thrilling. It is stressed in the second stanza. by a couple of apt comparisons. In the third stanza, the poet dwells upon the melancholy nature of the song and wonders what it is about. The poet, piles up a number of thoughts to reach the theme, to pick up the theme. Maybe the song has been about this, maybe the song has been about wars and battles, maybe the song has been about some sad experience, some loss, some pain, some gaining, some regaining. Life has been quite enigmatic for all human beings, right? And life, the enigma of life, the intricate nature of life, you know, the typical and complicated nature of life, since life is never smooth, it is full of ups and downs. So, this sort of nature of life is often sung in literature, is often sung in songs. So, the poet tries to be near with the theme of the poem, and he says it may be about this, it may be about some loss or some pain, that may be and that may be again. Right? So, in the third stanza, the poet dwells upon the melancholy nature of the song and wonders what it is about. In the concluding stanza, he reverts to its powerful appeal. That is important. The song has been able to bring out an eternal appeal on the mind of the poet, that the poet could recall this experience after a very long time, and he was able to compose this popular poem, which is often included in almost all the anthologies of British literature. And we could see the significance of this poem, that without this poem, no syllabus of undergraduate course is complete. So we can see this poem in the syllabus of every university. This is the significance of the poem. And the poem is very simple as far as the diction is concerned, as far as the words are concerned, as far as the development of the poem is concerned, as far as the thoughts imbibed in the poem is concerned. The poem is simple. As friends, romantic poetry has been simple from the point of selection of the words, because Wordsworth, as a romantic theorist, is of the opinion that poetry should be written in the language which is really used by man. He writes about this in Preface to Lyrical Ballads. So that part is included in the syllabus of our master's courses when we study theory and criticism. But as far as uh, undergraduate studies are concerned, let us consider on the appeal which poetry delivers, which poetry is able to hold. Appeal is important, you know. uh, to what extent and in what degree we human beings are able to hold one particular memory of one particular incident or event, and to what extent we derive appeal out of that experience is important. So here the occasion of the poem has been simple, that once upon a time, while passing through some mountainous region of Scotland, poet with his friend and sister were passing through, they suddenly came across a beautiful young maiden at a sufficient distance, who was reaping and singing at her field. So the scene of the poem, the setting of the poem has been very simple. But it could be simple for the masses. It could be simple for the ordinary people, ordinary man and woman. Whatever is ordinary becomes extraordinary in the hands of the poet. And this is the magic and spell of poetry. Whatever is ordinary, whatever is simple, becomes peculiar when it becomes a subject for the poets, when it comes to the mind of a poet. That's why we take delight when we read poetry, because we find a sort of link to that situation. What link we find? We find the link that we could also write, we could have written. And this particular, you know tendency brings out a link between us and the poets, right? So whatever is simple is not simple in the hands of a poet. So a very ordinary situation has been made extraordinary and has been made immortal by the poet. So I think today uh, it is sufficient for today's class. Thank you very much, friends.